I stitched together the most useful stuff I wish someone told me when I was starting out. Filmmaking, clients, YouTube, money, and relationships. Take what you need, and I hope you enjoy it.
People look at creators on YouTube, they kind of scoff at it. They're like, oh, it's not really filmmaking.
First month, I made almost $9,000 just from the store sales alone. And I was like, no.
I don't believe that you should spend time and money and energy on a Spec commercial.
I don't identify myself as someone that does YouTube. I don't tell anybody that I do it, or I really don't tell anyone I do podcasting unless you know it.
I think that people just need to get real about, like, you shoot it vertical, that's the primary place that it lives.
If you get to experience that at least once, that's it, man. Like,
my wife and I have always said that because we started dating when we were in high school, when we were 16 years old. I really resonate with what you're saying because for a long time, even to this day sometimes, I do say I'm doing everything for us and our future kids, future everything. And as much as that is true, I could definitely pick a better career that would make it way more safe, way more secure, and potentially, prosperous. But filmmaking to me is very selfish because I love it so much. I feel free, I feel alive, and I really appreciate what you're saying there, because that's something that I maybe never even really considered, is that I might be not lying to myself, but not giving myself or her the full understanding of what it is.
At a certain moment, I was like, okay, I do love the art aspect of it. I do not enjoy fully, at least, working with clients and being, even as a director, you're not the last, I guess.
Especially in the commercial side of
in
things.
the commercials. You're not the last one to make the final decision. And typically you don't get to have your director's cut. Typically, you don't really get to edit with the editor a lot of the times. And so I was like, okay, I kind of like it, but it doesn't pay enough for me to go through this battlefield. But
a battlefield within your sort of identity of who you are.
Yeah, like your artist persona and sort of you're a problem solver or a business entity persona. That would a lot of the times end up in an internal clash. I was definitely overthinking it for sure, because a lot of the other prosperous commercial directors, they never question that. They're just like, yeah, this is a job, whatever. Do my job, solve problems, get paid, and part ways. But for me, it was
which is good for some people.
Yeah.
Some people it's okay with
100%.
You just, again, though, what you're saying, you have to be honest with yourself about what it is.
100%. I completely agree. I guess that all, again, comes down to asking the right questions. But that was the moment when I was like, okay, I think I consider myself an artistic person who likes to be doing creative things. However, I also really never admitted that I needed money or wanted money, or I wanted to actually be able to make better money, good money, large amounts of money. Especially when we had our first kid. We only have one daughter, but when we had our daughter,
I'm sure maybe you want more than one.
Well,
child.
Hopefully, we'll see. I'm not rushing the process. But in 2022, it happened, and that was the weirdest year. That was the lowest low of my life. And that was at a point when I did not
career-wise,
everything-wise,
the lowest, or just you as a person,
everything.
Was it fear that you were feeling?
I can tell you what I felt. What 2022 looked like for me, if you care to listen.
Yeah, please. I do.
So that was 2022. January 1st was the day our daughter was born. Shit really hit the fan in Kazakhstan in terms of the political situation. So there was a coup. The new government tried to overthrow the old government that was sort of like a autocracy. That's for another conversation. So that happened. It was very unstable for 5 days straight. In 2022, a month later, as you probably know, are aware of, the Ukraine situation happened. So they invaded Ukraine, and a lot of the Russian people started avoiding the military, and they all fled to Kazakhstan because that was the only sort of neutral country for Russian passport holders to be coming into our country. And also, we are half, we're bilingual, so we speak on a typical daily basis both languages equally. So it was a very, I guess, convenient environment for them to flee. So that happened. And then there was a lot of directors who, I would say beforehand in Almaty, the city where I'm from, there was maybe at most 10 directors that were continuously booked and working all the time. And I consider myself to be one of those. Okay, I used to be. When the war happened, there were maybe 100 more. Real estate prices went up like insanely. I had a little bit of struggle with that financially. They had struggle with the real estate prices. They couldn't afford to rent. And so they had to go and drop the prices to the floor. And so the market was completely
Of their
obliterated. Yeah, because
Okay.
these were the types
They
of
needed
directors.
work. Yeah.
Yeah, obviously you can't really blame them, right?
Mm-hmm.
The black swan type of event that really never happens. You cannot account for that kind of thing. But it happened. These were the kind of directors who otherwise, if not the war, maybe like a year ago, a year prior to that, they would be commanding twice as much as the local directors to just come travel and shoot in Kazakhstan. And now they were actually begging these brands. And the brands were absolutely happy to take that because that's like, what? Are you kidding me?
It's almost
this kind
free.
of director for like at this kind of discount. So I lost a lot of jobs like back to back to back to back. And I was not even sure if I can continue this. And I'm very glad in the retrospect, this is like a blessing in disguise because I was like, wow, I am really, really, really pressed right now. And I don't think I'm going to be able to sustain this any further. So I need to come up with something else. And so the natural, I guess, one of the ways to mitigate that financially was starting a YouTube channel. And I'm very thankful to yourself, to Danny. I was watching the making of I Think I'm Sick, truly inspirational because I was like, that was a very unique kind of way to go about making a feature film. Some people have done crowdfunding. Some people obviously do traditional route, but like having an audience built up this organic type of way and then self-producing it, that's like self-funding. It's just insane to me, mind-blowing. It was like literally world-changing. And I told my wife, yeah, let me try and make this. Let me try to stick it out for like 6 months. I will try to be consistent. I will try to make videos that kind of like, for my internal kind of a filter, they would be passable. And I used to have a channel that was a very small, very inconsistent kind of channel in Russian language. I'm glad that I did a little bit of a test with the Russian channel that I had before, the smaller channel. I did a bunch of videos, but then one video really went relatively viral, I would say. The other videos were only making like 400, 300 views, but that one about treatment writing, it got like 10,000 or something. And I was like, okay, I guess I have some expertise in this regard because I've done this for like 8 years and now I have a little bit of knowledge to distill. So I spent another 2 months just writing that ebook, uploaded it, and started making videos. And the first month to me was absolutely mind-blowing to me. That was like $2,500, maybe $3,000. And I was like, damn, wow, insane. Okay, I got it. I think there's some potential in there. So then one of the videos that I did about treatments and another one that I did about one of the commercials, that there was a breakdown. I don't even remember at this point, but still, those were crossing 100,000 views. I think it was the second or the third month that I was selling my products. That month I made almost $9,000 just from the store sales alone. And I was like, no, okay, I think I can completely go like full in on this online store situation. And yeah, so that's what I did. And I never really regret it, man. It's just, it's been so much better, so much more fulfilling, so much more true to myself again. You are now an established director who has worked with a lot of production companies and you are running your own. Like, what does it take for a director who is looking to get signed with a major production company? What does it take for them to be even considered?
Every company is different. With Prodco, with Zico, we don't sign. There's probably options of directors that we could have signed which would instantly generate a lot of profit. They're already billing or they're already kind of established, but weirdly that's what we don't want to do. So the beginning of Prodco was always, I don't know, my interest was always the directors that I was like, why isn't this person here? Why isn't that person doing that job? It doesn't make sense. That's the birth of Prodco. So we've kept that. Of course, there'll be, there could be someone that comes on who's like, it doesn't matter that they're already billing and they just got that special thing that we love. Like, we would of course look at it, right? We'd consider that. We don't look at it as profitability. There's no director on the books that we see. They do great work, but they're going to make money. It's always this person is a genius and they should be doing this, and for some reason people aren't seeing it or no one knows who they are. And that's really the interesting thing for Progco, or for us. That's what we do. Then there'll be other companies that will look at it a bit differently. Like, okay, they've got the potential to become profitable, or they're already profitable. That will definitely, there's definitely companies signing directors out there that are doing it because they make a lot of money, and that's the primary reason they sign them.
Yeah.
Even though the work might not be like super special. So yeah, I don't
But
know.
like in general, what are the crucial bits? Like you have to do a certain amount of like gigs, or have certain amount of brands on your portfolio,
No.
or
It's not.
it doesn't matter, right?
No, there's no formula of how to get signed, or what do production companies look for in a director. In a way, a director shouldn't even be thinking about that. A director should be entirely focused on making good work, on developing their work, on creating work that speaks to them, that comes from them. That's the focus a director should have, in my opinion. It should not be, you can have an eye towards being signed, of course. Like, okay, this might help it a bit. Oh, if I do this, it could help a bit. But it should be like 5% of your thinking should be that. The rest should be full energy on the next project, getting that project out, getting that project seen, making something that's like hasn't been done, or trying something new. I got contacted from the work going out there. I've contacted directors whose work I've seen. I've never been sent at something by a director saying, hey, I would like to join Progco, this is my work, and then I've signed them, or we've signed them. And that's not to say that we wouldn't, but 99.9% of the directors at companies who get signed are signed because they've been contacted. They're not sending a mail with all their work and these are all the brands I've worked with and these are my 10 pieces. And it's very rare. It's the energy should be on making great work.
Being a director, right?
Keep pushing it, keep developing.
Basically.
And
Makes a lot
the
of sense.
thing that I would always look for, me personally, is a voice, a true voice that you can feel. You watch it and you can feel them. You watch another piece of their work and you go, oh, I can see this voice in the work. That's the key thing. If I see work which is, I'm not as interested in seeing work that's very well crafted but doesn't have something that's like a voice between it all, is of
Right.
less interest to me.
That's a brilliant point. I really appreciate your saying that. This sounds so cliche because it's the only truth that's out there. If you really want it bad, you'll get results. If there are no results, you didn't put enough effort. That's it. Most of us have been conditioned to think and live life as employees. Coming up, I've seen everyone around me working for money, paycheck to paycheck, really, and that's what they used to tell me all the time when I was growing up. You find a job, be a good boy, stay obedient to your boss, and if you're lucky, you'll be set for life. It's as if my life and my financial freedom was always going to be at someone else's mercy. And I carried that mindset through a lot of the years, and only just over a year ago, I think it started really landing upon me how pity it was. I mean, filmmaking is closely tied with arts, yeah, and you may be this avant-garde artsy artist persona that doesn't want to care about money. I mean, come on, if you want to make your next short film, you'll have to have cash. You'll either have it yourself or will ask someone to give it to you. See, poor filmmakers often lack a solid financial foundation. They rely solely on their filmmaking projects for income. Your typical commercials, music videos, client work, which can often be unpredictable and really inconsistent. This financial instability can limit your creative pursuits, and what's even worse than that is that it can hinder your ability to take risks or invest in the future projects. And I fully realize that freelancing is a good stepping stone where I learn a ton of skills, but it cannot guarantee me any certainty. Yeah, I was working with the top brands and making the high-level commercials, but that was never why I started filmmaking in the first place. I started filmmaking because I wanted to tell stories, no matter long form or short form. Doesn't even matter if it's released in the theaters or here on YouTube. When you're freelancing, you are still a gun for hire and you're working for someone and making their creative vision come to reality. So building a business and approaching it as one was the only logical way out of this rut. And so I did. So here's a harsh reality that I'm going to share with you. Something I wish I had known when I was starting out. Saving money is just not good enough. Everyone on YouTube says you got to be saving, save 10%, 20% every month, 30%, whatever. But the reality is that if you're not making enough, saving is just not your game. Period. There's a limit to how much you can save, but there is no limit to how much you can earn. Literally, any one of you watching this video could potentially 10x their income by developing more income streams and stacking multiple skills together. By approaching your filmmaking as a business, you are forced to learn those high income skills that everyone here on YouTube talks about, like marketing, social media, writing or copywriting, and sales. You stack them on top of each other and shift your focus towards building a well-oiled machine, money-making machine, basically. The more you can grow your personal brand, the more doors it will open in front of you. Simple. Yeah, I've actually noticed a slight change in the market in general. And so I'm seeing that a lot of the commercials are not really commercials anymore. A lot of them are social media content nowadays. I've worked on a lot of the commercial sets where we are basically shooting these KOLs, these influencers. And so we try to make it look like a UGC content. They're basically not really even posting those videos on the brand's social media channels. They're posting it through the influencers. And so what I'm seeing is a signal that, the commercial industry is changing in general. So a lot of the consumers are not really interested in seeing content from brands. They're interested in seeing them from people they trust, people they follow. And what that tells me is that maybe it makes more sense to become that person, to own all of that distribution, to be the person coming up with ideas. So basically replacing the agency, be the person who is a production company too, and being a person who is actually owning the distribution channels and posting stuff on behalf of the brand. Basically, it's a win-win situation if you think of it purely from a marketing standpoint, because the brands are spending less money because everything is basically going through that one door. You are making more money as basically you're fulfilling all these extra jobs as a single entity.
I don't see a lot of people I agree with you 100%, and I don't see a lot of people thinking that way. And I'm we literally what do we consume media on? We consume media on our phone. That's what we're looking at all the time. We're not sitting in front of a TV. There's definitely still value in high production value commercials that are campaigns and stuff. But I think that people just need to get real about, we are looking at stuff on our phones all the time. It's not social media now is the throwaway part of the shoot. That's, obviously you've done stuff like this. That is the shoot. You shoot it vertical and that's the primary place that it lives, which now makes so much more sense with TikTok and Reels and how much people are consuming that sort of content. So, and then to your point about becoming the influencer or whatever, once you get over being on camera and being the face of your own brand, it becomes, I'm just starting to experience it, but it's really gratifying to have people reach out to you and want to collab, and just seeing if I keep doing this, I can grow this channel and opportunities for myself, and I have full control over it, and I'm doing the same job basically.
Yeah.
I haven't been approached by a huge brand or anything yet, but if I were approached by Converse or something eventually, and I made something with myself in it for them, I would literally be doing what I'm doing now. It's just, I'm in it. And I'm I'm maximizing my own ability to participate in the commercial market. And it goes back to maybe some people romanticize their commercials to be their creative outlet, and they refuse to participate in social or downplay it or hate on it. We are literally just solving brands' problems as commercial directors, and this is now the problem, and now it is social media. This is where it's got to live. Make it exciting for myself to make stuff like that too.
I've been slowly overcoming this idea to where I imagine myself being this avant-garde filmmaker who's only places behind the camera.
and never in front of it. And now that I'm letting go of that idea, it feels so much better to live life in the modern day. I understand that this is a very interesting point in time where we live. I feel like it's better to be a bit more bold and a bit more accepting of the fact that you need to reconsider how you approach your work, because the skills are the same skills. They're not going to be very different, but how you approach it and the structure of it is a little different. I'm now getting more and more used to calling myself a YouTuber, which in the past to me, it was always very cringe to do that. And I would never introduce myself. Hey, I'm Noor, I'm a YouTuber. And now that I'm in Bangkok, it's a new city to me, new people. I'm meeting a lot of the new people. And whenever people ask me, I'm like, I'm just a YouTuber. I make YouTube content.
I have a weird relationship with my YouTube channel in that I love it. I absolutely do. I'm grateful for it because of what it's provided me, but I don't want to become a YouTube. I don't want to be someone or create videos that are only necessarily to like provide ad revenue or like share a product or share a lens or share a like some of the most important videos to me as a human being and as a person are the ones that barely hit 2,000 views on my channel. Like I just put something out the other day. It's not doing that great, but to be honest, it was like a therapy session to me, just being able to talk. I have these random videos throughout my channel that you could find of me literally just sitting down and talking, and those resonate with people for sure, but they don't hit the 10, 20, 30, 40,000 views that would normally hit if I do the, behind the scenes or whatever that is. I sometimes struggle of like, where do I fit in on YouTube? Where do I fit in as a creator or as a DP or as, someone that does podcasting? This kind of segues a little bit into something I read in one of your blog posts. If I'm going to read it, if that's okay. The box paradox. You wrote, director Jordan Brady once said, put yourself in a box. At first glance, this advice might seem limiting, but it's actually about defining yourself in a way that makes you recognizable. However, this box isn't about confining yourself to a specific topic or genre. Instead, it's about your unique voice, style, and personality as a storyteller. I really love that sort of little excerpt right there. The video that I just put out recently the basis of it was that I was struggling with the question of like, who am I? Granted, I'm 26 years old. I have no idea who I am yet. I barely went through life. I was a kid more than I've been an adult. But that question always sits in my brain because I often wonder if by putting a label or asking myself who I am, I'm a YouTuber, I'm a podcaster, I'm a DP, or I'm not a YouTuber. Because a lot of times I don't identify myself as someone that does YouTube. I don't tell anybody that I do it, or I really don't tell anyone I do podcasting unless you know it. I just say I'm a cinematographer and that's it. I often wonder is like putting myself in a box, does it limit me to like fulfilling my potential of what I truly am? And that's an artist, a creator, someone that likes to make things, or is like not identifying myself as something like I don't tell anyone I do YouTube. Does that limit me to what my potential could be in producing that type of work? And obviously that was just a mouthful right there. But I think YouTube is a beautiful thing for me because it sometimes just allows me to release my own thoughts and just like be a therapeutic platform to me. And I think that a lot of your videos also have a sort of a deep philosophical element to it, but I think you've blended it very well with the business side of things too, that maybe I haven't done yet.
That's very interesting how different people view the same subject very differently. From my point of view, more from my tower, it looks like I am struggling here like crazy because I'm also trying to be, again, honest with myself first and foremost within the videos that I create. So I want them to speak to me half a year ago. That's my customer avatar, I would say, if you take videos as a product. I also want them to appeal to the analytics. Sorry, not the analytics, but the algorithm. If that doesn't happen, then it's just going to be there's going to be very little amount of people who's going to be exposed to a good message. And I hope that potentially, if one of the videos go semi-viral, then it might potentially, again, change somebody's life. And I'm not saying this to sound very important, but
No, but I totally I understand what you mean by that.
That's
for sure.
sort of the function that I designed this video to accomplish, or any of these videos. And what I have found lately to be very calming to myself is I have finally discovered and sort of, I guess, figured out the meta ads, Facebook ads. It really feels liberating, separating your sales and your arts. So now my videos are more into the arts factor of it rather than sales. I don't even have to be promoting my products in my videos anymore. Starting January this year, I was a lot less consistent and a lot less active on YouTube, but the sales went up a lot because of the ads. And I also separated the brand. It's now called Pitch Studio. It's not associated with the name, and I really want to de-risk it too, because it's a romantic idea of an exit strategy
For
that
sure.
business, but I don't think I'm going to be doing that. But who knows? I mean, I want to kind of just have that option as a backup, and that's great because it means, and it's already able to generate some of that money just through the ads. So that to me means now my YouTube is basically, it doesn't have to be selling, or it doesn't have to be promoting my products, or it doesn't have to be fulfilling that function of just paying me.
Sure.
So right now I feel a lot more like you, or I'm not sure if financially YouTube has a very big importance in your life, but it did to me for the past year.
It does, and
year and a
it
half.
does and it doesn't. I think most of my work, most of the financial aspect, it comes from traditional
From the
DP,
DP,
work.
yeah.
And I think it has for a while, but I think I wrestled with it severely this January, literally last month, because I worked one time as a DP in January, one time the entire month. And it was a job that was also just super discounted. It was like a passion project. So it was like I barely worked at all. I didn't make any money from DPing in January, but I made all of my money from YouTube that month. I paid every single bill that I've had that month through YouTube, through a brand deal. And it made me realize, like, what am I doing? Like, am I fighting myself to not commit to YouTube? Because I don't think I've ever really fully committed to it. I've always just looked at it as like, this is something I also do, but I've always lived in a world where DPing was who I identify as. And maybe that is correct for me, but I think that it's always been hard for me to fully commit to wanting to pursue YouTube as a full-time thing.
For a lot of the years, especially when I was actively shooting, that was like my number one goal, to move out to a larger market, to be out there having those same jobs, but like in a more established market. I remember back in the day when I was contemplating that move, I was like, this is going to be life-changing. This, like, if I manage to do this, this is going to just set me up so well. And I feel like I've met so many people that are like of the same opinion. They, like, a lot of them don't want to be staying in their relatively smaller markets. Now I feel like, especially with the power of YouTube, and I've experienced that, and I also realized that I had luck with the YouTube channel. Not everybody probably can run a YouTube channel and make it sustainable, but if you do, if you try and stick to it, I feel like it just makes this whole geography thing so irrelevant. And now that you're confirming this to me,
I'm telling you, as you're talking, I'm thinking in my head,
gold.
like, yeah, I think you can be anywhere. I think you can be anywhere. It's a very real thing to feel like you're from a small town, or you're in a small region, or you're a small time director. That's a problem, because if you feel that way, you're gonna not think that you can be a director who can work anywhere. But as soon as you get out of that mindset, it doesn't matter.
So it's an internal problem that you have to fix yourself first.
I think so.
Right.
I didn't even, people aren't even, people don't know I'm in LA. Like, when I get on a Zoom with someone, of course we have this natural, like, oh, where are you? I'm here, blah, blah, blah. But it's never a thing. It's not like, it doesn't factor into anything. And like I said, most of the jobs that I'm up for are not going to shoot in LA. It's like, there's no benefit to being here, except we have great crews.
Really
but
amazing. I can definitely relate, because there's a lot of like that sort of feeling when you think you're missing out, because a lot of the other directors on socials, they're working all the time, they're busy, they're shooting, they're on set, and whenever you check their location, it's probably one of the larger markets too. And then especially when you see them like crisscross, like a director working with this DP that you know, and they're both in London right now. They're shooting this amazing spec, or not spec, but like ad. If somebody's watching this right now from, let's say, Indonesia somewhere, or Thailand again, maybe a better example would be somewhere maybe in Cambodia, and they're feeling like missing out, there's probably a lot of work locally to do too, to establish yourself. So I feel like, also it also gives you a lot more interesting point of view, context, that other director, you yourself from LA, you wouldn't know these things about happening down in Cambodia here. So there's definitely a lot of value to everybody's unique perspective, and that is something that you also have to, I guess, realize, and it's better to realize it sooner.
Yeah, I think so. And it is, especially in the commercial game, I have representation in the US, but I'm very soon going to try to have representation in Canada, in Thailand, in the UK, in all these places. So it's, if you're looking for representation everywhere, who's to say you have to be in any specific place? It doesn't matter at all.
There's a seasonality of work, and whenever there's not enough work that we're winning, it always feels bad. It always feels like it hurts the ego. Like, why isn't this market interested in us as directors? Do you have any advice for the directors out there to cope with that and find meaning otherwise? Maybe not in the commercial work, but like some ways to, rejuvenate, go to banyas or something like that.
Sure. So yeah, now my win rate is quite good, but when I was in the music video world, I don't even know where the treatments are. Like, for a treatment, like, fuck, I should archive it. I was really bad at keeping an archive, but man, I've done so many music video treatments. I mean, it's probably like 1 in 15 I would win. It's really low. 1 in 10 on a good day. It was tough. But as Oscar was talking about, right, Hudson on his chat, it's like you keep all those ideas. You have to view writing a treatment in a positive way, even if you're not going to win it. You're writing. All my writing experience, most of it comes from treatments. I'm writing scripts out, I'm writing an intro, I'm trying to keep it personal, I'm trying to develop my voice in a treatment. When now I go into writing a script for a feature, I've got writing experience. It's helped me, if I read my old treatments, they're way less effective. My writing is better due to this process. So view it as a forced writing class. You're writing with no guarantee of winning a job, but you're getting the experience of writing, which is why you shouldn't write bullshit. You shouldn't write, hey, I'm really interested in this project. Thank you so much for the opportunity. I believe this idea can excel.
Love the
whatever.
brief.
This kind of ChatGPT.
Yeah.
You could just use that.
Right.
So it's important that you write from the heart and it's like interesting and you start talk. I'll sometimes write in my introduction, I'll tell a little story, about, I've done a Waitrose pitch and I told them about a conversation I had with my mum because my mum loves Waitrose. It's this British supermarket brand. So I'm like, that's what I'm talking about in my treat. And I'm writing it in an interesting way and it's fun and it's like, you're weaving a bit of interest, and that's writing.
Yeah, you want to sound like a real human, like
Yeah.
someone reading this treatment is talking directly to you, with you.
So that and then lastly, I just say that so the thing to do and cope. So firstly, writing treatments is writing experience, which is just only a good thing to be writing. Then the other thing to cope with is that nothing's stopping you from shooting. Like. Yeah, sorry, Nike isn't knocking on your door and asking you, here's a bunch of money. That's not stopping you from filming something. That's not stopping you from writing a short film. That's not stopping you from, and yeah, like short films are expensive, but I've made my first music video cost me £50. Like there's always a way. Yeah. Like my short film, I did a short film and it's like, that was like expensive to me at the time. That was like, I spent a whole £1,000 on that one, but it looks, I'm happy with it now. I'd screen it now.
Yeah.
I shot now. If I was back then, if I had the tech now, but back then, I'd be shooting all the time. I'd be using my phone.
Right.
I'd make some raw thing. I mean, I shot the Kanye West video that didn't get released. That's all shot on an iPhone.
Yeah, the mysterious
But-
canned music video.
Yeah. So, you should be shooting. You should
Exactly.
be writing.
Love
There's
it.
nothing stopping you. So if you feel sad with all these brands not giving you money, you can just
Yeah.
go shoot,
And the one tool I wish I had from day one was this: a clean way to pitch my ideas. This is where Pitch Studio comes in. It's a company I built, and the whole point of this business is to help filmmakers pitch their vision to whoever they want or need to. Let's say a production company sends you a brief, and now you have to quickly assemble a treatment. That's where our treatment templates help you structure and streamline everything. All of these templates are easy to use, drag and drop. You just drag your pictures and drop them in. They all come pre-built, pre-designed, with some text placeholders that suggest you where you should place your text to make it flow smoothly and look visually good. They're really quick to assemble, and you'll cut your pitch deck design time from hours and hours to just minutes. They're now compatible with Keynote and Google Slides, and the reason I'm sharing it here is because people have been absolutely loving them. I've gotten tons and tons of feedback over the past year and a half that I've been running this. We've improved on a lot of the designs, and we're still developing a bunch of new ones. So if you really need to optimize your pitch deck design process, this is it. For 1/10 of the price of a custom design job with a visual researcher and a designer, this will give you that same result in way less time and way less money. All you have to do is go there, pick the one you like, drop your images and text in, and be ready to pitch in literal minutes. As always, the link is in the description. Check them out, start pitching better and faster today so you can become a better, more successful filmmaker tomorrow. There's this weird idea that filmmaking is this one thing, like it has to be feature films or big TV shows or fancy commercials. But the truth is, filmmaking isn't just one shape or form. It's not just theatrical releases or film festivals or streaming shows. It's not just music videos or TV commercials either. The real world, it's not black and white. There's so much in between. There's this whole gray area where you can create your own thing, your own niche, with zero competition, your own YouTube show about your favorite vintage furniture or rare pens and pencils or houseplants or whatever these social media platforms are spending billions to get really good at serving niche content to niche audience. You can do whatever interests you personally, and if you get good and consistent, you will find your audience. And that's what I am trying to do with my channel. I have created my own outlet for making this little commercials, little films, stuff that I am passionate about. So it is about creative fulfillment, and it is about honing my craft. I get to express myself, practice, and communicate through filmmaking in a way that feels wholesome. So if you want to be making commercials, make them for yourself, for your own personal brand. If you want to make a short film, make it. Who cares if no one's watching it right now? The point is, you're doing it, and that's what matters. A filmmaker, in my opinion, doesn't necessarily have to be someone with a major Hollywood film under their belt. You don't have to have a feature film or a pile of awards to call yourself that. Personally, I don't direct commercials as actively anymore, and I've never shot a feature film. But I make these little films that help me express myself. I get to practice my voice, find my own perspective, and that's all you need to get going. So what's stopping you? Don't wait for permission, and more importantly, keep showing up consistently, because that's how you hone your craft. That's how you find your voice. That's how you become a filmmaker. So go make something.
Everything you just said, I completely agree with, right? If you could get signed to a company that's supporting the things that you're doing on the side, or you could say, you could also say to them, look, I don't want to get publicly signed right now because I haven't got that much work. Let's do a project together and then launch with it. And I'm not going to go do it with other companies. There's different ways to approach it for sure, but I benefited from my path, but that's my path. That just happened. I didn't design it. So that's the thing I would say is also, you can't design your path. I can look back at my path and go, oh, that was good. That was useful. Oh, that was perfect. I didn't do ads too early. I developed my, but it wasn't from design. It just happened. So there's, you can look at that and think, well, Ian did that, and that's useful, and that's great if that can give some make some ideas happen or decisions for people. Great, but you have to remember that you can't design your whole path either. You can use that path that other people have had as ideas, but there's people that get signed from one music video and then they carry on being prolific and doing well. but that's why it's on you. It's not on the company. Whether you sign early, you sign late, it's just always on you.
It's just about being comfortable with being uncomfortable, I think. It's just taking risks and owning those decisions.
Instinct, like listening to your gut is real. Your gut it's a strange thing. It's a kind of a spiritual thing to listen to. Truth is inside. It's something that's in you're somewhere down there. You know, they always say, you go to therapy, you're not going to get the answers. You end up finding the answers from yourself. So, listen to your
guys, stick it out. It's all going to work out. It's all going to work out.
Right. So this is why I'm selfishly, for everybody listening to this is why I'm selfishly interviewing Noah. I found myself been doing freelance work now the past, 7 years. I'm really looking to transition to making more digital products, approaching things more entrepreneurial, having a YouTube channel, monetizing my audience. I'd love to know at what point and why you decided to sort of make this transition as like this awesome A-tier director going to YouTube, which is something that a lot of YouTubers are doing. Now I see it a lot more over the past 3 years. What made you change and sort of go, I'm going to start taking this YouTube approach and selling digital products?
For me, I was battling this for a very long time. This idea of like, am I giving up something real for something artificial like YouTube? Something real as in like a commercial directing career. And the answer came to me when I have started being reached out by these brands asking me to do whatever I want in whatever feels authentic to me kind of way, and they would pay me the amount of money that I request. And that's where it hit me, like this is insane. Like this is the ultimate directing, commercial directing goal. Like this is where everything comes together to this crescendo where you are a fucking creative agency. You are a director. You are a cinematographer. You are an editor. You have control over all of these departments. You have no client sitting over your shoulder and like looking at the monitor and goes like, yo, can we have another take where they smile more or whatever? So you do everything on your own terms, and you know your audience better than anybody does. And you're the ultimate curator for your audience. And so that automatically puts you into position where you are this last decision maker. And I feel like that's just so powerful to, at least if you get to experience that at least once, that's it, man. Like it's just,
you can't unsee it now.
Absolutely. That's
you
just
can't.
yeah. And so I feel like for anyone who's still like juggling with this idea, if YouTube is not the real filmmaking, or like YouTube is just avoiding to be in the field doing the real work, I just want to reassure that it's just not. It's not necessarily that you have to be like talking about filmmaking on your YouTube channel, or if you want to start it, you don't have to be like teaching other people how to do what you do, but just having voice and just having some creative expression, that's where YouTube shines best and better than your commercial gigs, for sure.
That's beautiful, man. That's really something that you said. We were having this conversation last time that you were sort of stuck in between, like, am I like, you were having these doubts,
Right.
but I'm so glad to hear that you've arrived at this thought. And it feels so encouraging to me, because I look back at the videos that I make for brands. I couldn't give a shit. I look at them, I couldn't give a shit. And when I look at the videos that I film when I'm on holiday with my girlfriend, we walk around, tripod sticks, just walking around in Bali, filming some fruit. I look back on these videos and I'm like, those are the videos that count. And they make me feel the most. When I get to do all these things, and I have had one experience with making a video pretty much in control in my own apartment with a brand, and you can't unsee it. Why would I do anything else? And I think it's so rough, because it is this huge debate, and people look at YouTube filmmaking and they look at creators on YouTube and they're like, yeah, well, they kind of scoff at it. They're like, oh, it's not really filmmaking. He didn't have an RE. He wasn't, with a crew. And I think it's bullshit, because
it's just unimportant. It's irrelevant.
It's irrelevant. You look at the views, even like if you want to go to data, look at the views. More people are on YouTube than there are on Netflix. More people doesn't mean that there's necessarily higher quality content, but people are expressing themselves in ways, making films, making feature films. Danny Gewirtz, shout out. who are, funding this with their following, with other filmmakers. And to be perfectly honest, to take, what is his name, the director, his quotes, I'll reference him when I remember, but he said, your job is to take, as a commercial director, is to take 4 seconds of somebody's life before a YouTube video. And then it's like, so Leo Aguirre, I'm not sure how to pronounce his name, super awesome director. And I'm like, so why would you want to take 4 seconds of their life and have something they don't want to watch when you could make the stuff that they want to watch? And so this is the thought that's going on my head right now, where I'm starting to push more in towards writing, making my own stuff. And I'm so grateful that you shared that, because that's very inspiring for me to hear at this moment, bro. So thank you.
Amen. It's a cliche thing to talk about, right? A lot of the directors say that, but it's the understanding and the application of that wisdom is the key. Doing your personal project is the best thing you can do. On my own channel, on my YouTube channel, this one, I sometimes suggest directors should go out there, and maybe if they really want to get into the commercial directing game, they should probably go out there and make their own spec commercials. So I would really like to hear your opinion on spec commercials. Does it make sense for a beginner director, to build up a portfolio to make a spec commercial for a brand? Or does it make more sense to do a short film or a music video instead? What do you think?
In my personal opinion, which everyone can disregard, I don't believe that you should spend time and money and energy on a spec commercial. If you're going to do that, make something with a reason. Commercials are already a slightly soulless art form, right? It's corporate propaganda using snippets of an art soul shell. For you to then go out and make a spec commercial, you've got double empty, dead soul process. I can't imagine the feeling of filming a fake commercial for a fake brand to look up to the potential of maybe doing a commercial for a brand. I think it's a destructive way of getting there and succeeding. I don't think it's something that I wouldn't recommend it, because commercials are already such a delicate space where you can get disconnected from your spirit. You're making corporate propaganda. Like, commercials are great. I'm so grateful to them. It's given me everything. It's given me my connections to my crew. It's given me like freedom creatively, because I'm not dependent on financially. I can pay for scripts pay my script writer. Instead of asking him for a favor, I pay him his rate that he should get. I can buy the rights to a book. I'm so grateful for it, but it's corporate propaganda. It's a side quest. It's not. I don't believe it should be the place that you're driving towards. Filmmakers should drive towards film or short film or art in whatever form, whether it's feature length or short, and commercials are a side quest that really help you out on the way. But putting that much energy and time into like the spec thing, personally, I don't believe it. And I've seen amazing spec ads, but they always feel like weird. It feels strange to me. And a lot of them are from Germany. German film students doing like 3 years of like a whole year of like, and they come up with amazing ideas. And that's a fast track. I'm sure a lot of them then get signed, but then who is the company signing? They're signing a kind of well-formed shell with a small birth of a soul that's growing inside it, that's still got to grow, but it's made this beautiful crafted shell, commercial shell around it. But inside is a very new voice that still needs to grow. And really, that's the voice that you should develop and push and keep getting stronger. And then when you go and do a commercial, you're not thinking about what's my style. You know what you do. You know where you put the camera. You know like how you want the sound. You've got ideas of things you want to try, because things you've lost on other projects you know how to do now. Yeah. So there is an alternative, and that is making a political film, a charity film, come up with a crazy concept and back engineer it to something. then you can really be free. Then you can make something quite dark or really inappropriate that would never fit a commercial. I could write a horror short, a horror, really horrific, crazy, dark idea that's 30 seconds, and then find a charity or an NGO or a political group. Right? I could make a dystopian sci-fi idea for 30 seconds and link it to Reclaim the Net or WikiLeaks, or give them this gift to them and give something back to society in terms of there's something important, and it looks like it's a commercial. It's it looks like you've made something to express an idea for a corporation or a charity or a political group or an NGO.
I love that.
So that's what I would do.
How do you sort of change your workflow, change the way that you perceive creating videos, creating YouTube content, creating products? Like, how has your sort of mind opened once you decided to kind of change the direction that you were going in?
You often come across this advice to prep all the time, prep everything, like do everything in the prep so that you don't spend the client's money, so that you don't fall flat, so that you get the highest chance of succeeding. That makes a lot of sense when you're a commercial director. And I followed that advice, and I have conditioned myself so much to never, ever have anything left to its own devices or for the post or fixing it in post. I would say now versus then, it's a lot more what a documentarian would approach it like. So
exploratory?
Yeah, it's like a hunter-gatherer kind of approach. So I hunt, bring it all to the table, to the editing table, and then I try to make sense of it later within that like post-production timeline.
Yeah.
And it feels very different. Also, I feel like less pressure too, because I have found time and time again that you go out there, you shoot a bunch of stuff, you bring it back, and then something beautiful happens there in the editing. It's not a bad approach. I would say it's a very different approach, and very different stories come out of that. And it feels less polished.
I'm sure you had to almost you had to like recondition yourself to even do that type
to
of
allow
creating.
myself to do that. Yeah.
Yes.
Sure. But now it feels natural too. I would say now I don't know if I would go back to a commercial set, I would probably do everything in prep still. But if I was to make a feature or even a short, especially with the shorts now, 'cause, this year or next year, there's probably going to be a lot more shorts. Not a lot more shorts, but a few shorts planned for sure. I do think about it regularly, and I'm like, I do want to allow that exploratory time where maybe there's 1 or 2 or 3 days of a 3-day shoot that I schedule everything out of it. Like I have my AD having everything set up, because that's where the most amount of budget is going to go to. And then I want to have another 3 or 4 days with my DP, with my actor, skeleton crew, to just go there and see what else can we make while still, trying to put together the edit so that I see it from both kind of perspectives. Like I've actually started taking notes finally. I've finally made that into a habit, because this is something that I've been trying on and off for like ages at this point, because everybody knows this, everybody recommends this. Such an obvious, such an on the surface type of advice that it's often overlooked. But it's also like whenever you try it for the first time, you try to like sound like righty, or you feel like you would show this to somebody, like as if somebody cares about your little scribbles on your notebook. I guess the freedom, the real freedom in that moment, it comes at a point where you completely divorce yourself from the idea that somebody would pat your back or tell you feedback for whatever you wrote, because that's not the point. That's not what matters. What matters is that you just throw whatever the shit comes out of you, like all of that nonsense. And only then, after that, after a couple of pages of like complete absolute nonsense, only then you're able to like dig deeper and get to the root, get to the truth. I have been able to open up in the ways that I have never been able to before. That helps to like just identify what you like and what you don't like, how you like living life, how you don't like living life, how to build the type of balance you want, not some online guru wants for you. Because when these people are 24/7 in your head, instilling their insecurities, instilling their agenda, instilling their goals to you, then you inevitably start acting as if that's you. But you are not them, they're not you. And that's where, I guess, sense of freedom comes, is when you know how to tune into yourself and listen to yourself and hear, most importantly, yourself. That's where a lot of the structure comes to my life, is just by visualizing my ideal day, and then maybe for the next week trying it out. If it works, it sticks. If it does not work, then there's some change that has to be done. Then you rewrite your ideal day and then you implement it again. And if it works, then yeah, that's cool. What's really interesting to observe is the fact that the ideal day might work for like a season of your life, for like a couple of months. And then there's some change that you have no control over. And then you have to rearrange, adapt again to this new circumstance, and there's no ideal, there's no like thing that you can do to like fix everything in your life. It's all the problems are a continuum of problems. Like, you've solved it for a certain period of time, but that does not mean that you won't have to solve that problem again in the future. And the problems are constantly, finding their ways into your perfect dream life. And that's how you kind of stay on your toes, and you're able to like be always alert, and then you battle them, and then there's a next problem, and then there's a next problem. And that's, I guess, just the whole point of evolutionary science or whatever. All of the living creatures, they have been always battling some shit that tries to kill them in order to survive. And we still do to this day. Like, everything is tied to our survivorship, physical or otherwise. There's so many more options and opportunities out there right now, given the internet, the AI, and all of these new, free social media platforms where you can market yourself completely free of charge. So I guess the message that I'm trying to convey is become your own client, because when you do, you're not just a videographer or filmmaker or cinematographer or director. You become a storyteller, a brand builder, a world builder, basically, because what you create is a story of your life. And oddly enough, people find it interesting and entertaining and educational at times, but most of the times it's just inspiring for them to take that first leap and try to build something for themselves as well. So I guess the meta lesson here, if I'm trying to conclude everything and make sense of it, is that I had visions of this particular lifestyle a few years back. And everything that I'm trying to build right now as a business is based out of those visions. I didn't know exactly how I'm gonna get here, how or what I'm gonna build on the way, but I just had that vision in my head where I'm geographically free, financially free, and I'm bringing my family with me to experience something out of ordinary. So I'm very grateful and thankful to whatever is taking place in my life. And I'm making this video just to inspire you guys that there's so many more options. Filmmaking is not just about freelance or working with clients until you retire or whatever. There's so many more options. There's so many more ways to build out your career. And all it takes is a bit of that, a bit of that quiet state of mind where you can have an honest conversation with yourself and answer those questions. What is exactly that you want from your life?